me action.
Action.
This is the most important thing. You want to protect your eyeballs when you're using circular saw. That's what this is a circular saw. What I'm going to do is I want to show a couple tips and tricks like I promised last time that we went over my toolkit. Circular saw, a couple of things we want to talk about really quick. It has a beautiful safety on it, which is right there. They're all going to have that. Battery powered, not battery powered. You got to put your thumb down. It's like a double action to prevent yourself from getting cut. You also have this nice little protection here, unless it's actually cutting. Let's show this. I'll push this through a board. This will push back as you're going through the board and do your cuts. Cool, right? The biggest thing, one of the biggest things that you're always going to want to do is take a look right inside here. See this? You see these numbers? These are inches, quarter inch, half inch, 3/4 inch, 1 inch, 1 1/4. You always want to, first and foremost, set your depth. If we're cutting a 3/4 inch piece of wood, this is a 3/4 inch piece of wood, we want our blade to poke out the teeniest, tiniest little bit. So we're going to use this gauge here to set it to just a pinch over 3/4. I don't know if you can see that little dot right there, but pinch over 3/4 right there. Boom. So when we cut this board, we're only going to come out just that little bit. Just going to come out just a little bit at the end. What that's going to do is that's going to prevent you from getting chips, number one. Number two, that's going to prevent blade wobble. If you have this thing set to 1 inch drop down there, or 2 inches drop down there, your blade might have a tendency to wobble. So you only want to go the depth of whatever you're cutting. If it's 1 inch, set it to just a pinch over 1 inch. Your blade should just pop out the bottom. It's going to give you a cleaner cut, more controllable cut. You're not going to get any wobble or anything. Boom. That's your number one. Safety, we already talked about the glasses. Always use glasses because the circular saw is going to shoot dust everywhere. Everywhere. But, like I said in the last video, you can do some pretty amazing things with this. You can cut compound miters. You can cut miters. You can cut rip cuts. You can cut just about anything you want to cut with a circular saw. Yeah, we can show this in the background a little bit, but we're not going to use that right now. I just want to show you two things. I want to show, let's just some scrap wood. We're only going to showcase the scrap wood because I just want to get some thoughts out there. I want some thought starters. I want you to think about some things. Brittany, my beautiful wife, actually thought of her own project. This is her board. She's going to make a video that she's going to do everything with the circular saw with this big bad board right here. Saving that for another time. Okay, that's going to be her project. Me, right now, all I really want to show, safety, tips, tricks. For 45s, look, pick yourself up a square. It's only a couple of bucks. If you need to make an angle mark, look at this. Here's an angle. Yeah, we have an angled mark now. Now, this works to get a little bit tricky. Of course, you take it over to a compound miter saw, boom, you cut it. How do I cut this perfectly with this saw? So, you can take the battery out if you're using a battery operated, or unplug if it's not a battery operated. But let's bring this in here for a second. The width of the blade is called a kerf. So let's remember that, okay? So if we're cutting this, we're gonna build a guide for this, and we're gonna push the saw across our guide, okay? Which the guide is essentially gonna become a secondary clamped piece of wood, like this, okay? Clamped piece of wood. We're gonna clamp this on here, and then we're gonna push it along this guide, okay? This is gonna sit right on this so that we have a perfect straight cut, right? So how do we come up with that? If we want to cut on this line right here, we want our kerf. We just talked about that. Kerf is the width of the blade. In this instance, this is like a 1/16 of an inch right here. This blade is a 1/16 of an inch. Measure your blade. Do you want your blade running on this side of your cut? Or do you want your blade on your measurement this side or that side? We want ours running on this side because we want this to be our clean piece. This is our dirty piece. We want it to be right here. So what we're gonna do, we're pushing the saw through like this. Check this out. We're gonna measure to the inside of the blade, to the edge. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get a good spot here with our good ruler, inside to the outside. We're at 1 3/16. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna take our pencil back, AKA pen in this instance. We're gonna make a mark at 1 3/16. And then we're gonna make a mark right here, 1 3/16. Ba-boom. And then what we're gonna do, we're actually gonna change our orientation a little bit. We are gonna do a clamp. We're gonna clamp this board right here, okay? So always better to have longer, okay? Because you wanna be able to push your saw across it. Whatever you clamp, you have to make sure that your saw can start the cut and finish the cut. It's a real small cut. We just want to make sure that we can start the cut, finish the cut. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop out a couple of clamps really quick. Right here, a couple of C-clamps. And we're just going to clamp this down right here at the edge, right to the bench. If you notice here, see, I'm keeping it right there. Keeping it right on that line. Grab my second C-clamp. See, I'm trying to put the clamps as far to the edge as I can so that they stay out of the way of my saw. And you could do quick release clamps, you could do any kind of clamps you really want. You just want to make sure it's at least snug enough that neither board moves. Boom. Both snug, neither board moves. Let's double check that we're going to be able to get our saw in here. Yes, we missed back here. Boom. And we're going to miss just inside there with this clamp setup that we have here. Let's cut this thing really quick. And let's see how good it turns out. Make sure that this is flat to your piece. Okay. Look at me, look at me. Safety glasses. Then you're gonna start your saw. You have perfect 45 there. What you just saw me do with that 45 cut, that's just a matter of placing the board, right? We place the board like that to get a 45 cut. You could do the same thing like this to do a rip cut. Right? Inch, measure in, do your measurements. We're not going to do it again. Do your 1 3/16, depending on where you want your kerf to end up at. If you're getting into super fine joinery, this isn't your best bet, but you can do a lot with this. You can make these 45s. I don't know. Say you want to join a couple pieces of wood like that. I don't know why, but you could. Okay? Now, one thing I'm going to show you really quick. You got trim. You want to do trim, and you need to get your trim done, right? 45s on trim. Look at this. You can do the same thing. Make your marks, and you can 45 trim. Boom. I'm not making a mark on this, but you can 45 trim with this saw. It's not as precise and as perfect, but you're going to see in our next video, Brittany is going to make something pretty sweet out of this board here. And she's going to use a lot of these tips and tricks And all she is going to use is this bad boy right here. And she's going to do all the work. Start playing with it. Get your circular saw. Start cutting stuff. It's a pretty safe saw. Have fun with it. Let me know what you come up with. Like and subscribe if you don't mind. If you do mind.
What?
Yeah, we don't know what that was. Like and subscribe if you want to see more of this.
All right, that's enough of that.